Our web pages are going to be awfully bland and uninteresting if we can't put some visual elements into them. And one of the ways that we can put visual content other than words, other than text into our web pages is by adding images. Every image tag should have these two attributes, the source attribute and the alt text attribute. So you can tell when a tag is really, really old when there's lots and lots of abbreviations. This is one of the oldest HTML tags. So it's IMG, that's short for image, SRC, that's an attribute that's short for source, and then the alt text attribute. The source attribute value goes in quotes, and the alt attribute value goes in quotes. And I'll illustrate what those are in just a minute. But for right now, I just want to emphasize that you should pay careful attention to both of those attributes. You can get away with skimping on one or the other, but for our purposes, let's consider it to be a best practice to specify both attributes every time I specify an image. Okay, I'm going to cut over to my laptop now, and I'm going to show you how I can use the image tag. You can see our work here from what we did previously with several new tags, the bold tag, the strong tag, the italics tag, and the emphasis tag. I'm going to click on this X here to close out of work.html. I'm going to right mouse click here and say copy, and then down in the file space here I'm going to right mouse click and choose paste, and then I intend to rename this, and I will call this work. How about we call it work 2? Okay, so now I have a whole new, I have work with my remarks about Napoleon Dynamite, and work 2, I'm going to erase all of this text here, and I'm going to click save, and I'm going to put in a paragraph, and I will say a image will go here. There we go, and save and preview it, and there we have an image will go here. So I'm going to tell you where you can find an image. All right, everybody ready? It involves using not the search bar, but the address bar of your browser. With the address bar of your browser, you can specify a specific file in a specific location on a specific server on the internet. I know, crazy, right? So I'm just going to put another paragraph here that says, paragraph, the image resides at, and I'm going to type this in, and I'm going to zoom in on my text just so you can see it, https://misdemo.temple.edu/smileface.png. Remember how we learned about file types? And I'm going to have like text was for TXT was for text, HTML was for HTML, and I said there were other file types. Well, here's one. Now this is just really for your benefit, so I can type this out. I don't really need this line of code here, but if I were to take this line of text and I were to do a Control C, or that's a Command C for you Mac users, and I'm going to go up and go into the address bar and do a Control V and press enter, you can see that that gets me the image of a smiling face that is on a server that I administer and run at Temple University. So that image file, smileface.png, sits on a server, and I get to that server through this long thing called a URL. The internet is just made up of URLs. URLs that connect to other URLs that connect to other URLs. And we'll see more of that as time goes by. So if I want an image tag, when I preview this page, it's not all that impressive, right? It's just text. If I want that smiley face to be here on the page, well, then I need to use the image tag. And so to do that, I would say open angle bracket, img, source, that's src, equals, and then I need a pair of quotes, and Visual Studio Code put them in there, and then I could either copy paste that URL or retype it. I'm going to retype it because I think it's educational to do so. https://misdemo.temple.edu/smileface.png, and then I move on, and look, VS Code is telling me, hey buddy, you're not done yet. That image tag is incomplete. You didn't close it. So I'm also going to specify the alt text. So it's alt equals, and I'm going to say smile face. And then I'm going to end this tag, this one tag, with a close angle bracket. So notice that's quite a bit different from the paragraph tag, where I had the opening paragraph tag and the closing of paragraph tag, and image tag just kind of sits there all on its own. One tag. Save this, preview it in the browser, and there it is. I was able to put my image tag into that page. And this opening text here, these paragraphs, they're not really necessary. That was just me kind of helping you think through all that. So I'm going to actually delete those first two. Okay. So that is me working with a source that is outside of my computer. If I wanted to, I could have a folder inside of my MIS-2402 workspace. Let's say I called it, I'm going to right mouse click and say new folder, and I called it images. And in that images, I had some PNG files, right? I could use a different kind of reference over here. I could specify this as, I did a quick copy and paste there. I could say images / and then I would need smileface.png there. So let's see what that looks like. Right? So this was a full, complete reference to a file that sits somewhere on the internet. This is referencing a folder that's in my local file system, and in that folder I'm looking for a file named SmileFace. Let's see what happens. So looked like I was in good shape here, but I've got, you can see in little tiny print down here at the bottom, I have this kind of little icon, and it says smile face, and that was my alternate text there. Let me zoom in on that a little bit more. Maybe we can see it better. Yeah, it gets really hard to see, but I've got a little icon there. I was expecting two smiley faces, right? So what's the problem? Well, hopefully it's obvious. I don't have that file inside the images folder. So I'm asking the image tag to show me an image that isn't there. That's a problem. So to fix that, I can go download that image, and I will put it in my images folder. Let's do that right now. So I will open this up in my default browser. I'm going to right mouse click on this image, save the images as, and I don't want to save it in my downloads folder. I want to go to my desktop, my workspace, images, and save. And I'm going to close all this. And you can see that my Explorer here has updated. I now have a SmileFace PNG file inside of my images folder. And even if I click there, it shows up in my VS Code workspace. I can't really edit it or anything. VS Code is not meant to be an image editing software, but there it is. And now when I preview this in the default browser, I will have 2 images. Look at that, 2 smiley faces. I did it. So I hope that was instructive. We learned how to use the image tag, and we learned that every time we use the image tag, we should specify the alt text. And we actually saw an example where having that alt text was actually really handy, because when this link was broken, because we didn't have a good file name there, or what about this? What if I called it smile space face, right? .png. Right? Remember how I lectured everybody about not putting extra dashes or spaces or anything in the file name? So I save that, and you go look at it over here and you say, well, that's right. Well, no, it's not. That doesn't match. And when I preview that in the browser, I'm going to have the same thing again, but the alt text comes through, and that's actually really good. All right, so I'm going to wrap up a little bit about the image tag in the next few slides. So you can see how it's important to pay attention to both of those attributes. And of course, an attribute is anything that supplements or complements a tag. So this is the image tag with the source and alt attribute. You might ask yourself, what if the image is purely decorative? Then it is acceptable in those cases to simply say alt equals and then put in 2 quotes with nothing in the middle. Right? That would be what we would call an empty string. And that is a way to indicate to the browser, to the screen reader, and to the web crawler that that image didn't have any semantic meaning. It was purely decorative. But you need to choose wisely. It's sometimes when a future programmer learns that, they simply put in alt equals and then an empty string, and they just do that everywhere, when in fact some of the images are really important. So if your image is important to the viewer's understanding of the whole page, then you want to put a short but meaningful description in there. Let me ask you this. Is the image tag a self-closing tag? It is. The image tag is a self-closing tag. It's different from paragraph and bold and strong and italics. All of those other tags had an opening tag and a closing tag. The image tag is what we call a self-closing tag because it starts with an angle bracket, the image tag, a couple attributes, close angle bracket, and there is no like backslash or anything here. It's called a self-closing tag. And I just want to emphasize this one last point. What goes in the source attribute? The source attribute can contain what we would call an absolute reference, which means I run out to the internet using some protocol, HTTPS, go find a server, and maybe there's one or more folders here, and then their file name. That can be an absolute reference, or it can be a relative reference. When I created the images folder, that was inside of my current workspace, and I didn't need to stick anything in front of that. I didn't need to say C:users/student/desktop. No, that was a relative reference. So relative to where you are right now, find me an images folder and then find me smiley face. If ever you see an icon like this, then you know that there's a broken reference. There's something wrong with the source attribute. And you saw me fix that. changing that broken reference to a correct reference, and then I got the smiley face. All right, that's everything I'm going to say about the image tag.